Hello, and welcome to the Monash College Virtual Classroom demonstration. My name's Glenn Jennings, the Diploma Program Director of Monash College. I'm really pleased you're able to join us today to get a first-hand look at how our virtual classroom operates. While international borders remain closed, providing a high-quality education for all of our students remains our priority. And we are delivering this through blended online virtual classroom and face-to-face pathway programs. It's our commitment to provide new students starting their studies with us offshore with the opportunity of a guaranteed pathway into Monash University without slowing down their education journey. In addition, the completion of Diploma's Part 2 allows a student to transition to the second year of their chosen undergraduate degree at Monash University. Our online environment is built on the same approach we use in our face-to-face classes. The same teachers, the same curriculum, the same support. In fact, we've actually strengthened our support so that students receive tailored individual support from experienced teachers who can help them with specific concerns. We also have learning skills advisors, counsellors and student engagement specialists, all dedicated to supporting and encouraging our students. In today's virtual classroom taster session, one of our Diploma's teachers, Dr. Kanva, will be taking you through an introduction to art and design. And you'll also be hearing from Diploma students Ashwin and Carlson as they share their experience in the virtual classroom. We'll also talk to you about the support services available to students to make sure you have the best possible experience with the college. Our team has one goal in mind: to give you a fantastic learning experience that sets you up for your undergraduate studies. So I'm going to hand over now to Canva, and I look forward to you joining us in Monash College Virtual Classroom and then face-to-face on campus once the travel restrictions are lifted. Thank you, and over to you, Canva.
Thank you, Glenn, and welcome everyone. My name is Kanver Nair, and I'm glad to have you join us today for a sample class from the Diploma of Art and Design. On today's menu is a taste of our virtual classroom with a side of trivia. So please type any questions or answers that you might have during the session in the chat function on your screen, and we will collect your details and reply as best as we can. I am proud to be a teacher at Monash College because this is actually where my design career began when I moved from Kenya to Australia as an international student many years ago. So I can honestly tell you, and not as a teacher, but as a past student, that Monash College was by far the best experience of my tertiary education, and I hope it'll be the same for you too. Okay, before we get started, a little bit of trivia. Apart from its tea, coffee, long distance runners, and its beautiful weather, which one of these animals will you not find in Kenya? Please type your answers in the chat box at your convenience. I teach industrial design and product drawing, both of which are in our Part 2 program, which, as you may know, is the equivalent of first year, second semester at university. In our industrial design unit, our students are currently developing solutions to improve the quality of life of older people, which is an extremely rewarding project, especially during COVID, where families have been unable to visit their loved ones at aged care facilities. While the product drawing unit, which is an elective, teaches students how to present ideas visually on paper as quickly and as effectively as they can, using traditional media like pens and markers. Product drawing is one of my favorite units of all time because I love to sketch, in case you hadn't noticed. If you want to improve your sketches, then this is the perfect unit for you. In your opinion, which one of these cubes is sketched in three-point perspective? Once again, please type your answers in the chat box at your convenience. Now, fortunately for me, I had a product drawing class just this morning, and so I'd like to walk and sketch you through how it went. Typically, all product drawing classes follow a similar process, as you can see here, which provides our students with familiarity and therefore comfort. We have 2 classes every week, and this morning we explored what's called material splits, which, as the name suggests, is the union of 2 or more different materials, which you'll see on most everyday products. So what I'd like to do now is to give you a crash course of my class this morning. There we are. Our classes start with a feedback session where all student work receives feedback from me and from their peers. Students upload all their sketches to their respective folders on Google Drive, as you can see here, which works really well for presentation, sharing work, tracking progress, and for written feedback. Every so often, a student is then selected to conduct a live demonstration based on their homework. My student who's here with us, Ashwin, did this a few weeks ago, which was fantastic. Then it's my turn and my favorite time of class, because I get to give students a live demonstration on what they will be learning. As of last week, our students now understand how to render the following materials individually. And so as part of my demonstration this morning, I randomly selected 2 materials and sketched and rendered a basic geometric form that is made from a shiny metal or shiny material and from wood, sort of like the materials you'll find on a hammer or on a knife. I'll now play a recording of my demonstration and we'll ask you a question thereafter. So watch carefully. And also feel free to get your sketch pads out and I'll be happy to give you some feedback at the end of the session. Or maybe I'll learn something from you. Hi guys, today we're going to look at sketching a form that is made of a shiny material and wood. You know how to render these materials individually, so I'm going to show you how to combine them into one form. And to do this, I'm going to use the following materials, so please grab yours as well. Let's start by sketching a rectangular prism or cuboid, and remember to sketch on bleed-proof paper because we will be using our markers to render this form and we don't want the markers going through our paper. So using a thin black pen, begin by sketching construction lines, which, as I always say, are forgiving because it is at this stage where you can still make sure your sketch is in perspective before you confirm your lines with a darker or thicker pen or marker. I'm going to sketch my form in 3-point perspective because I think single forms look the best this way. Next, I'm going to mark where my light will be reflected on the top of my form like this. Because this form will consist of a shiny material and of wood, I'm going to use my N series markers for the shiny material and my E series markers for the wood. So that'll be my N2, N4 and N6 and E33, E35 and E37 markers. I'll also use my N9 marker to render a shadow. Shadows are great because they help ground your forms, which in turn make them look more three-dimensional. In this case, however, I'm going to create a shadow that makes our form look like it is floating. Next, I'm going to use my N2 on the top surface of my form where the shiny material will be. I tend to use my lighter shades at the top because if you think about it, that's where natural light comes from. So for a good effect, I like to create a bit of a gradient on my surfaces by darkening some of the lines. And in my opinion, this is a good way to make shiny surfaces look more realistic. Pretty happy with that for now, I think. Time for the N4 now, which will give our sketch a bit more form. Remember that because this is a shiny material, we should see a bit of light hitting its surface. So when rendering, try and leave a few white spaces like this. And don't forget to always render in the same direction of the form's perspective. Again, you want some areas to be a little bit darker for a better look. I'll do the same now for our third face using an N6. By having the different shades of grey, the form will appear to look more three-dimensional. Sometimes you'll find that your marker tends to sort of fade away, so feel free to just come back and touch it up whenever you like. Okay, now that we're done with our shiny material on the left-hand side, let's get started on the wood by rendering a base coat using the E33 marker. Because wood isn't naturally a shiny material, let's not worry about leaving any white gaps on the surfaces for now. Again, try and render in the same direction as your perspective, or your sketch can look a little bit off. The next step is to create a little bit of a gradient on each surface of your wood. And the reason for this is so that when you look at the form, it's really obvious that the form is changing direction. So I use my E35 marker to simply darken either the top or the bottom of any surface and make it get lighter as it moves away. I'll leave this to dry now for a few seconds. So what I'll do next is grab my N9 marker and go over the shadow at the bottom. I like the N9 because it isn't as dark as your perfect black, because when you think about it, a shadow isn't really black. It's basically just a darker gray so that you can still see the surface or the texture of the ground coming through it. Okay, I think that looks pretty good, and it makes the form look like it's floating a little bit. And now before I continue, I'm just going to touch up some of my surfaces to make sure that the gradient is really clear. Because as I said, sometimes the marker tends to fade into the paper. So you will need to come back and touch it up every now and then. And finally, I'm going to use my E37 marker to create some of the grain that you normally see on wood. And so to do this, I'm going to use the thin tip instead of the thicker one. And what you can do is go over some areas of the grain to create like a knot in the wood.
And if this isn't dark enough, you can bring your black pen in and go over some of these areas as well. So you can see here that by adding this grain, the material now starts to look more like wood. And now that the sketch is almost done, I'm going to use my 0.8 fine liner pen to darken the exterior lines of the form to make it jump off the page a little more. Because we are rendering a form that has two different materials, I'm now going to create what's called a parting line, which is a line that divides one material from another on a form. To do this, I'm using my white chalk and black fine liner pen. And finally, to finish this sketch off, I'm going to add a little bit of a reflection on top of the wood as well, following the same direction of light that's hitting the shiny material. And there you have it. One form, two materials, and that's a material split.
I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I did sketching it. As you can see, you can very easily and quickly make sketches look three-dimensional with just a few pens and markers while presenting different materials. So, as promised, here's your question. What is the name of the line that separates two or more parts on a form called? And while you type your answers out, I'd like to tell you what I love about the virtual classroom. I get to teach and learn from my creative space. And this has made teaching so much more enjoyable for me because I've learned more about my students by seeing who they really are in their own spaces. Sometimes we even show each other our animals, which is always great. I can use the time it would normally take to travel to work and back on preparation for my classes or on providing more feedback to students. I get to have lunch with my family every day. Excuse me. Another thing I love about the virtual classroom, no one can catch my cold. But most importantly, I get to use my foot massager while I'm teaching, and no one knows, except you now. And that's all from me for now. Next up, I'd like to introduce two of my top students, Ashwin and Carlson, who are going to talk about their experience while studying in the virtual classroom. Welcome, Ashwin and Carlson, and over to you.
Wow, thank you for the warm welcome, Kanva.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Ashwin and I'm from India. However, most of my life I've been living here in Melbourne, and I'll let Carlson introduce himself too.
I'm Carlson. I'm currently in Indonesia. I'm studying industrial design with Canva, and Ashwin's my classmate here.
That's right, and we also both do product drawing. Anyway, while being in a physical classroom is definitely great, there's definitely also benefits that come from online learning. And so we've been asked to share our experience, and we've been asked some questions such as, what do we enjoy the most about learning in a virtual classroom? Well, personally, I really enjoy the way in which the teacher and students can share their work. We can always go on Google Drive or through Zoom, see what all the other people are doing live. And I'll touch up on that later too, on the benefits of that. But just as Canva earlier showed his demo on how to render a shiny surface and a wood surface, everyone has a great view. In a physical classroom, when you're standing next to each other or when you're crowded around the teacher to see what he's doing, sometimes if you're shorter or if you just happen to be in a bad position, you might not get the best view, but we all did in that demo earlier. Media can be seamlessly shared. If the teacher wants us to look up something or share something, we're all on our computers anyway, and so it's not too difficult to go and quickly do that. So Carlson, how about you?
Oh, like what Ashton said, there are several things we like about studying online, and having us to be able to listen to each other's music and share songs together. That is another fun thing that we used to do. Like I can listen to Canver's music, I can listen to Ashwin's songs as well. Other than that, time traveling is being saved. This means that we don't have to physically travel by tram or train or bus to the college, but we're able to use that time to be able to study or finish the works, as well as hang out with family or friends. Um, and in the class, having it online means that we can look up words or key terms which we do not understand in the live sessions, which can help us catch up or understand the words or meanings which we do not understand much quicker.
Oh yeah, we certainly have fun using ShareTube, sharing music with each other, and I got to find out that Canva really likes rock and some of the stuff he's into, so that's cool. I'll talk about the group assessments now and how we manage that in an online environment. So we use Google Drive, Zoom, the breakout rooms are super handy, and Miro might be something you haven't heard of. That's an online diary. And once again, you can really see in real time what everyone's working on. This is really cool because it motivates us to do better. So some of the screenshots here are our early work in the industrial design and product drawing classes. Why this is awesome, because I can go into Google Drive, for example, and if I'm wondering, is my work up to standard? I can look at Carlson's work, which is shown here. I think there's some cool rectangular forms, and I'll be like, you know what? I've got to do better than Carlson. So I'll go ahead and sneakily do some work behind his back, but all in good nature and in good spirit, of course. It really motivates us all to do better. It really lets me see the best of everyone and get them to open up with the breakout rooms. I'll touch up on that again later. But Carlson, I feel like you have a few things to say.
Yeah. Having the group assignments in a virtual classroom also helps me feel much more relaxed, and it gives me lesser of a pressure rather than having it offline where you might feel not comfortable speaking out loud. But having it in a virtual classroom gives me my own personal space, and I get to be able to feel not so pressured by having people around me as well. Other than that, I can learn much quicker from my friends. Just like what Ashwin has said earlier on, things are shared on Google Drive, which helps us, which motivates us to be able to challenge each other and get better as well. Other than that, I also can ask my friends if I do not understand things, and they can teach me much quicker as well through the virtual classroom.
Yeah, Carlson and I did challenge each other to a bit of a rivalry. Once again, a healthy one. All right, let's talk about the next thing, which is the Monash College social activities. Personally, I joined the cooking club because I love cooking. And it's really great for me because while I can, of course, go online, look up for recipes and make something, you got to wonder about, hey, what about the things that I've never even heard of? And because we have like an international student base, people all around the world, every week someone presents something new, and I get to learn about a food that I would have never heard of unless they showed me. We get invites all the time from Monash faculty. You can see some of the emails. This is a screenshot of my personal email, my Monash email. And you know, I've gotten emails from College Connect and also Global Careers. So I get invited to movie nights, online of course. And you know, these career development sessions, it's really amazing because if you try to individually find one on your own, you'd be paying through your nose to attend one of those events. But as a Monash student, they're free. I think that's awesome. Anything you have, Carlson?
Yeah, I do encourage students to take part in these social college activities, because other than you get these skills and time with your friends, you're able to prepare your future as well as build new relationships and new friendships with the people around you as well.
Yeah, talking about friends, next slide is making friends. Here's a picture of myself with some of my friends. Unfortunately, Carlson wasn't with me at the time, but look, I'm really lucky personally because all my classmates are very friendly. Some are a bit shyer than others, but we definitely get closer with those classmates as we work in group projects with them. You know, when we're in the breakout rooms, we can talk, have fun while doing work, of course. But in a classroom, if we were being loud, rowdy, or noisy, even if we were doing our work to the best of our ability, the teacher would have to quiet us down because we'd be distracting others. In breakout rooms, you're all to yourselves. And it's pretty cool, I reckon, to say, hey, I have friends from all around the world. Carlson, what do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting to see different cultures and different ways of how people live, especially in the virtual classroom. Everyone is at their own country since some of the borders are not open yet. It's really interesting to see how people cope with day to day. As you can see, Ashton has a drum set behind him, which clearly can show that he has great hobbies for drums as well. Um, we can catch up with work and leisure outside of class, which means that if we miss out on some lessons or homeworks which we do not understand, we can catch up with our friends, as well as we can take time to talk about our hobbies and things that we like. Um, Another great thing having it being virtual is that we do not have a perfect curfew, which means that we do not need to stress in going back home since everything is virtually online. This means that we can take time more into getting to know each other or finishing our works.
Yeah, I think we're lucky to have great teachers as well. Hey, did you see Canva's demo? I reckon even you guys who haven't done drawing class yet, you have those tools and the materials ready. It's so easy to follow. You can just go back, watch it, and you know, you really understand the content. So I think that's it, isn't it? Is that
Yep.
the end of it? Yes, it is. Thank you guys. We could totally ramble about everything we do in class, but better give it back to Kanva now. He has a lot more things to say as well.
Thank you, Ashwin and Carlson, for those great slides and for sharing your experience with us. And keep up the great work. At Monash College, our commitment is to support you to achieve your best, regardless of whether you're studying with us in a virtual classroom or face-to-face. While you're studying online from your home country, you will still have access to all our support services available to help you along the way. As Ashwin mentioned, we have a dedicated student engagement team who organize a range of clubs and societies for you to join to learn new skills and to meet students from all around the world. We also have learning and career advisors who you will be able to contact to make sure you're on the right path to Monash University. To be a successful student, you need to feel supported in all areas of your life. That's why your health and well-being is a priority at Monash College. If you have any problems or concerns, our counselors offer free, confidential counseling to help you with personal, academic, and emotional challenges. And of course, as Ashwin said, the teachers are wonderful. We hope that this has given you a better understanding of what studying in the virtual classroom is like at Monash College. If you have any questions, simply scan the QR code to visit our virtual classroom webpage, where you can find information about the virtual classroom, which might help you answer some of your questions. We also have student testimonials, so you can hear from our current students about their online experiences. And if you have any other questions, please email them to marketing@monashcollege.edu.au, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, feel free to follow us on our social channels. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you in the virtual classroom at Monash College, as well as in Melbourne when we can meet face-to-face again. Please keep safe. And if you'd like to share your sketches with me, I'd be more than happy to look at them now. Thank you so much.